Hey, how's it going, fellas? It's good to have everybody back. How's everybody doing tonight?
Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
Uh,
Sunday night, man.
Sunday night, enjoying some Sunday night football here. Want to start off
Yeah.
today's show here, just throwing it to Drew and Ethan. I know you guys were at the Washington Michigan State game. Um, go
Blowout City.
Blowout City, but just want to get your guys' more or less like reactions from that game. What was like the atmosphere like, with Mel Tucker no longer being there? What was what did it seem like? And you know, so I'm just gonna throw it to you guys to talk about the your experience up there in East Lansing this weekend.
Oh man. Um, I'm trying to figure out where to start. It's a great time. The area is great for tailgating. They had a really good setup there. They had a bunch of different areas. I mean, across the board, multiple parking lots. So it was very spread out, very expansive, very easy to get to. A lot of good access. Everyone there was super cool, super friendly. No real issues. We only actually had an issue with one actual Michigan Wolverines fan.
Okay.
Gave us some trouble. That was a bit weird. But all the Michigan State and Washington people there, fantastic crowd. Leading up to game time, got along with everyone, talked to a bunch of random people, students. Uh, get in, stadium fills up, packed. There were some empty seats, but a little after kickoff, it was packed.
Hmm.
Um, and they were honoring the 2013 Big Ten team. Connor Cook, all those guys were there.
Oh, nice.
Soon as they flashed Antonio on the board, pop, huge pop. You would have thought The Rock
Mm,
walked into a live WWE event. I mean, it was
D'Antonio.
loud. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
that place popped. And then by halftime, it was empty. Students gone. We're
Yeah.
not interested in being around anymore.
Well, they were down 5 touchdowns.
And a lot
Yeah.
of
And it was
everything.
really ugly.
Yeah.
There was not much hope that it was going to get any better.
No.
No.
Um, Drew, what did you feel?
Uh, Same as Ethan. The Sparty fans were awesome. Very nice, very friendly, joking around with us. We were all wearing purple, so uh, you know, the opposite team, but they were all cool. Michael Penix looks fucking awesome. He throws darts. Um, Washington's very solid. Defense was a little up and down. Not much positive to gain from the Sparty perspective. Um,
Did they
but
seem demoralized? Like did like the team seem demoralized? I mean,
Only once Michael Penix was sticking it to
okay.
yeah, I would say
him.
it was odd because we didn't I didn't find a single person that was a Mel Tucker fan.
No, they
Everybody
were
up there hates Mel Tucker.
It's
He
good
is
to
not
like
welcome in East
they were
Lansing.
good to see him go then.
they were
Yeah.
not
Oh,
upset
they
that
were
he
stoked.
was not coming back. I mean, absolutely, it was ugly. Yeah, they did not.
They yeah.
Okay.
They were also not very stoked with the interim staff. The offensive play calling sucked ass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Clearly because the scoreboard reflected that.
Oh yeah.
The Big Ten kicked off this weekend though, guys, with a big win. 42 to 14, Maryland over Virginia. Ohio State rolled 63 to 10 over Youngstown, or sorry, not Youngstown, sorry, Western Kentucky. Penn State got a 17-point victory, pulled away late there against Illinois on the road. Indiana fell to Louisville 21 to 14. Wisconsin pulled out had a good victory over Georgia Southern. North Carolina did their thing and put a beating on Minnesota. Duke did the same thing to Northwestern. Iowa handled business against Western Michigan. Rutgers beat Virginia Tech. obviously, we just said Washington blew the doors off Michigan State. Nebraska beat Matt Rule got his first win in Nebraska, beating Northern Illinois. Michigan rolled over Bowling Green, and Syracuse beat Purdue.
Yeah. If you look at, I don't know how much you guys were watching or anybody was watching, pardon me, over the course of the day. All of those games were decisive. Illinois or Louisville let Indiana back in late in some garbage time.
Yep.
All these teams just handled business, win or lose. It was very decisive. There wasn't much back and forth. Penn State's defense really won that game for them. 20
Yes.
points off 4 or 5 turnovers.
Absolutely.
Drew Aller looked like he was not ready for that quite atmosphere just yet, but I think he'll settle in just fine. Yeah, it was a very decisive weekend for Big Ten football, win or lose.
Corey, what is a couple things that you learned here this past week? As we head, towards into big, your big non-conference games are typically this week and then next week, and then, going into conference play.
I think a few things I kind of just come to the top of my head. I don't know that Drew Aller's ready for the moment. I mean, he has all the talent in the world and talent around him, but he was kind of shaky, not what you want to see if you're a Penn State fan. Michigan needs to start running the football more, relying on J.J. McCarthy a little too much maybe. But I do think Bowling Green is a little step up in the competition compared to what they've really been playing. So few mistakes here and there, those things kind of happen. Maybe you might want to cover Marvin Harrison Jr. and not let him run, 80 yards down the field wide open.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I think as a whole, I mean, it's really good to see Rutgers 3-0. That's, something that's good to see. Good for the Big Ten. We'll see if that continues and they continue to have a positive season. Northwestern is kind of, they got a win already, which I think kind of shocks us all already anyway. So we don't really expect too much from Northwestern. I feel like a lot of the times this year, the Big Ten has kind of won the games they were supposed to. I kind of thought maybe Purdue would play a little better against Syracuse, but I think overall, I think everyone's been really sloppy. I think everyone's kind of had a really good game, but they've been really sloppy, and there's a lot of things to clean up.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think
especially going into this. Go ahead, Drew.
I don't think a single team has hit their stride yet.
Right.
I would have to agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I don't think any team has played a complete game, if you will. Put a complete game offensive, defensively together. A lot of things to clean up for every team in the Big Ten, top to bottom.
Yeah. I think one of the few teams you could make a case for would be Maryland. They haven't really allowed their teams to hang around too much, but they started off real sluggish against Charlotte last week. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
and that was, against substantial less competition than you were facing this week against Virginia.
I feel like Charlotte might be marginally better. Virginia's I don't have a whole lot of faith in that Virginia team this year, but that's just me.
We did not fare well against the ACC, though. Did not do well against the ACC this week. I think it looks like we lost every game against the ACC that we played, except for Maryland.
Virginia Tech lost to Rutgers.
Virginia Tech lost to Rutgers. Yeah, I mean, we had a losing record against the ACC, which isn't good when you're trying to make a case for a conference being better than another one.
But you had a winning record against the MAC.
Hey, that works. That works.
As it should be.
And the MAC stole one against Ohio, against Iowa State. So shout out to the MAC. Jolly Roger, baby.
Hell yeah.
Okay. What did you guys think of Purdue, Illinois? Did you guys get to watch that on the road?
No,
No. So,
no.
Corey, did you watch it at
Which
all
game?
Saturday? The Penn State Illinois game?
Oh yeah.
No.
The Penn State Illinois game,
Yeah,
sorry.
I
Yeah.
watched it a little bit. Yeah.
So
They had
one thing that stood out to me in that game was Illinois is probably literally a decent or an average to good quarterback away from being a like 9-win team. Because when I was watching that game, in the multi-view, it seemed like they would get the ball and then it was a pick. Get the ball, complete pass down the field, fumble. Get the ball back, pick. And it was all quarterback decisions, is why I said that. So when I'm looking at that, like when I look at that Penn State game, yeah, it was a 17-point victory, but that game was actually closer than it really was.
They pulled away
Yeah.
late, but Illinois played really good defense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like Penn State has been so hyped up this year that whenever they take the field, they should just obliterate everyone the way that everyone's kind of talked about them. And the fact that they struggle, they had 2 touchdowns for, it felt like almost 3 quarters, really.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of, I don't know. I mean, I don't really believe in James Franklin. That's me. I don't know. You've got really 2 really good running backs, and they don't use them as much as they should.
I mean, they were up 30-7. Illinois scored their last touchdown at the 4:21 mark in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but for the
I feel like
majority of
they-
that game, it was an 8-point. It was a 1-possession game. Like they scored Penn State didn't score until 2 minutes left in the third quarter, and then they scored to open up the fourth, probably after a turnover. Or they got a 3-and-out and just got the ball back and scored.
Illinois just went
scores
3.
most of the second quarter,
Huh?
and they were up 2 scores most of the second quarter, 3 scores through the third and the fourth.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is that game was closer because they kicked Illinois just had those like 3 turnovers on like 3 straight possessions in the second quarter.
Yeah. Altmaier did look rough, but I don't think Penn State looked as bad as.
No, I'm not saying Penn State looked bad. It's just that I guess I see where Corey's coming from and the aspect of if Illinois doesn't have those 3 turnovers, that game is a lot closer than what the score is.
Oh yeah, I mean 5 turnovers makes a big difference.
5, yeah.
Aller was less than 50% passing, didn't throw a touchdown.
Was not too impressive.
Neither of the star running backs hit 55 yards, but both did score.
And you got to think that's just a mid-level Big Ten atmosphere.
I don't know.
I mean, he still has to travel to a lot more hostile atmospheres.
I've been to Illinois a couple times. I feel like it could be a little more hostile, but they do a good job. Yeah, but it wasn't a Michigan. It wasn't an Ohio State.
Yeah.
So.
From the national perspective on Penn State, they should be kicking the shit out of teams.
Yep.
As Michigan and Ohio State should be.
Yeah. Ohio State sure as hell did that this week against Western Kentucky, which was.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I did not see it coming either. A takeaway from that game, honestly, just that I noticed, like as I was watching it, was it seemed that Kyle McCord was settled in, knowing he was a starter, and just decided, you know what, F it, I'm gonna let the pigskin fly this weekend. You know, like if I see it's there, I'm just gonna take it. You know, like it wasn't like he was afraid playing to make a mistake and playing tight. He was playing more free, which then I think in turn opened up the offense a little bit. But I mean, I think honestly the key for Ohio State this year is how well they can run the ball, in my opinion. Uh, if they can get their what we saw now, a trio of running backs active and getting good yardage, I think they're going to be a little tough to beat. Um, Another thing that I like what Corey said earlier too was I think Michigan does need to get back to using both of their dominant running backs and not relying on JJ too much. You know?
OJ looked rough last night. We were watching that game in Ann Arbor at Connor O'Neill's, eating some dinner, and that game was just ugly.
I mean, I look at it as it was a very rough offensive performance, but defensively, you give up three first half turnovers and you give up 2 field goals. That's pretty. It's defense. The defensive line looks dominant. I mean,
Yeah.
they're blowing stuff up all the time. So I mean, offensively, there was a few. I mean, again, you don't have Jim Harbaugh, so you don't have guys making the calls that you necessarily would always have. I feel you drove down the field in 4 plays on run plays on the first possession. The second possession, you get the ball back. You're at the 2 yard line and you don't hand it off. You try, like it's just that along with special teams didn't play very well. So, I mean, a lot to work on. But,
Yeah.
as I always say, rather have that happen against Bowling Green than you have that happen against Penn State when you get rolled.
Absolutely. Anything
I
that
also don't think JJ McCarthy has any more games like that in him. I don't think that. I mean, I feel like they're going to be careful not to let JJ play like he did yesterday.
Well, and I mean, he just made a couple wrong decisions. The one of the interceptions that he threw, he had Roman Wilson wide open in the middle of the field, burned wide open, and he decided to throw the other direction. Just I mean, again, he was so perfect through 2 weeks that it was almost like everyone expected him to just continue to be like that. So, everyone's human; it happens, but he's got to be better if Michigan wants to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I don't see that happen. I mean, they ran the ball the first play of the game. They ran for 50-something yards. So if it just felt like okay, let's just hand it off, and we'll
Let's hand it off and coast to a victory.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, he did only throw 13 passes. Only 3 guys caught balls.
And I mean, when you're looking at the new rules of college football with the continuous clock, how it doesn't stop after a first down, I mean, if you can run the ball consistently down the field, that works absolutely in your favor. Talk about shortening a game.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you do it right, you could almost bleed the entire clock. You could score 1 touchdown in the first quarter, kick it off, and boop, start of the second.
Yeah.
I
agree. Yeah.
Let's move on.
Looking into next week, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's move on over to next week, week 4 here. We kick off with Wisconsin versus Purdue on Friday. Then we have primetime game day of the week. Notre Dame, Ohio State, and South Bend. Rutgers travels to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan. FAU comes to Illinois. Maryland goes to East Lansing. Louisiana Tech goes to Lincoln, Nebraska. Iowa and Cade McNamara travel to Happy Valley to face Drew Allar and Penn State. Akron at night too. That's a primetime CBS game. Akron will face Indiana, and then Minnesota faces Northwestern in Big Ten action as well. So we're hitting the stride. We're heading into, week 4 is going to be last week of really non-conference games, typically, and then we're into conference play, guys.
I think that's going to be real big, especially for a team like Ohio State, who just needs to absolutely play to the top of their ability since they're off week 5.
Yep.
Um, I think that this is a really, really dangerous Notre Dame team. Granted, the current opening line shows Ohio State by 3, and you know the home team always gets 3 points to begin with. So you figure Ohio State by a touchdown. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than that. Notre Dame's very balanced. Sam Hartman's been a catalyst for that Notre Dame offense. And then you got Esteem, Austin Esteem, the running back, or Audric Esteem, sorry, the running back at Notre Dame. That's going to be a really fun game. There's a lot of really great matchups. All of these are going to be worth a watch for different reasons.
I mean, obviously, Notre Dame, Ohio State is a big matchup within itself.
It's got national implications on it.
Yep. I'm looking to see how Luke Fickell runs a team, gets Wisconsin ready on a short week. Drew, outside of like Ohio State and Penn State, Iowa, what's a game that you're looking forward to? Because obviously those are the two big games we're all looking forward to.
Yeah, for sure. I think Wisconsin Purdue Friday night should be pretty fun. I think Purdue can pull that upset. Wisconsin has not been impressive at all this year. And West Lofton can be a tough place to play, especially on a Friday night. And then I'm hoping that Rutgers can make it a game with Michigan. I don't expect them to win, but if we could go into the third or the fourth quarter, a score or 2-score game, I think that'll be fun.
Okay. Core, outside of the two big games, which game are you looking forward to? And I mean, obviously, outside of the Michigan game.
Well, I mean, I'm interested in Rutgers too.
Yeah.
I want to see, they're 3-0. Supposedly, their quarterback's been playing unbelievable. I haven't really watched too much Rutgers, but I think it's a bigger test for Michigan than people really think and give them credit for. I'm interested in Iowa. Iowa's defense, I feel like, can stop Penn State. So, I think that's interesting. I don't like night games. So anything can happen in a night game. I think Ohio State probably is better than Notre Dame and has more athletes on the field, but Notre Dame, it's Notre Dame. Anything happens. So it's like one of the better slates of college football this weekend.
Absolutely.
Coming. So
the one thing that I think is going to work in Iowa's favor for a very long time going into a big national game, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but having Cade McNamara, a guy who's traveled to the Horseshoe before, he's traveled to, Penn State, Happy Valley before, he's played in those, hostile environments, those big, loud crowds. So I really think that kind of works in their favor. Like, I don't think he's going to have to go through those typical, like jitters, if you will, early on in a game. I just don't think that's going to happen. So I really think that Iowa Penn State game is going to be a lot closer of a game than a lot of people may anticipate.
Yeah. Another thing I find interesting here, just going through, there's 5 night games on the Big Ten schedule this week.
Yeah.
Friday night being one of them. Ohio State at 7:30, Iowa Penn State at 7:30, Indiana's got a 7:30 game, Minnesota Northwestern play at 7:30. Right
Both
now
on
they're
Big
calling
Ten
for
Network.
rain. Right. Right now they're calling for rain in Happy Valley.
Yep.
And they're calling for rain in South Bend.
Yep. It's gonna be.
So those are big, big things to watch. I feel like a fun one would be Akron, Indiana. I feel like that's just going to be a mess of a game, and I think that would be really entertaining to watch. I don't think it's going to be boring by any standard. I think that you're going to be entertained, whether it's good or bad entertained.
Drew, do you agree?
Yeah, I think unless you're a fan of those teams, you're not going to watch that game. And even if you are a fan of those teams, it's going to be hard to watch that game. But I do think that Akron could, if they really go full at it, I think Akron could pull the upset.
Okay.
Not betting on it, but
Okay. What do you guys think about the Maryland Michigan State game? I think Maryland's gonna literally put a hurting on Sparty.
I'm not saying Tully is as good as Michael Penix, but if Michael Penix can throw for 450 and a half against the Michigan State defense, it's not saying Tully can't throw for 350.
yeah, I agree. I think it might
They're-
be just like a little bit less than this past week.
They're broken and down bad, and it doesn't look like that's gonna get better soon.
What's weird is Maryland only opened as a 6-point favorite. So someone's trying to do some real sneaky. Because this could, I would say, if I was, let me see if the opening line is 53 and a half is the opening total. I don't know. 38-7 seems good. I think it'll be similar to the score from last week.
Okay.
Michigan State scores in the final minute of the game.
And I say garbage time, Tutty.
Garbage time
I mean, I'd love to see them come out rejuvenated. I'd love to see them take this shin kicking this week and spin their life around. But the air was out of that stadium at 28-0. Gone.
Couldn't breathe.
Gone. Nothing was happening.
Jordan Sparks, no air.
Especially with Noah Kim at quarterback.
Oh yeah.
They do not like him.
Oh,
They are
booing the
ready
QB.
for.
Well, they turned on him already.
Oh,
Yeah. He doesn't have any help. I feel bad for the kid, but Peyton Hauser looked half decent when he came in. What's surprising to me is this is the first time that they had beer sales in the stadium. And I think that's the only reason that some of the people stayed as long as they did. I think that I don't think the students would have made it to halftime at all if it was just your standard stadium atmosphere.
yeah.
It was ugly quick.
Got ugly really quick.
And all the games I've been to, I don't think I ever remember being to a place or a game that it just hushed quiet. I mean, all you could hear was Washington fans. The Michigan State fans weren't even booing. It was just like they were just sitting there watching the destruction.
It was all downhill after D'Antonio came out.
Yeah, what was
Should have
that?
known they should have known that was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was huge pop. I mean, I can't explain to you how loud that place got. And then just like, I don't even know. It's like someone, took your puppy or something. I mean, it was just, man.
So, let's transfer outside of the Big Ten here real quick, because it was a big thing that happened this week, with just a big game. Corey's smiling because he knows where I'm probably going here. Coach Prime loves the spotlight. No doubt about it. He just loves the spotlight. You could clearly tell Deion, lives for it. Travis Hunter took a very, I don't even know, like, if Denzel Ward got called for targeting, how's that not considered targeting right there? You know what I mean? And he's supposed to be out for a few weeks now. But Colorado comes back in double overtime to beat Colorado State. In a thriller of a game. I admittedly fell asleep during it. But it was from the highlights I saw, it was one hell of a game. without Travis Hunter, do you think Colorado could keep this up?
I'm gonna go last. I have all kinds of thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can keep it up. They are. I mean, the problem is they don't play defense. To me, they struggle in the defensive department. I mean, I know they've got a lot of turnover and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's kind of bound to happen. Offensively, they're as talented, it feels like, as anybody in the country, with or without Travis Hunter. Um, they've got speed all over the field and playmakers. Shedeur Sanders is rising up draft boards, I'm sure. I mean, to be fair, I get it's a rivalry game and you talk smack all you want, but to me, the refs were the reason that hit happened. The refs didn't intervene early enough in the game when it started to happen. On the first possession, there was punches thrown. Shedeur Sanders tried to poke a dude's eye out.
Hey,
There
Captain
was a
Insano
lot of
showed no mercy.
there was a lot of things that I feel like the refs could have gotten in front of. I think both teams were a little too hyped up. Colorado State took everything very personal, you could tell, and was trying to just throw haymakers at them to try to show that they belonged. I don't know. The hit was very hard to watch. It was one of those things where it was like, I was shocked it wasn't targeting. I was shocked that he wasn't ejected because it was like 3 steps after the ball had landed.
The ball was. I mean, the play was already whistled dead.
Right. Now, to be completely fair, Travis Hunter getting in their face and starting a war before the game started probably didn't help his cause.
No.
But I mean, it's
Drew. Did you see the song they came out to?
The what?
Did you see the song they came out to?
Mhm.
Wheezy was rapping "Sky's the Limit."
That's awesome.
Yeah, he came out with the team rapping.
Yeah, they had a bunch of stars out.
Oh yeah,
Kawhi Leonard was there.
The announcer goes, "Wow, it looks like the BET Awards on the Colorado bench right now, on the Colorado sideline, because there was like 4 or 5 rappers there."
About that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Drew.
They're the modern day Miami Hurricanes, loud and proud.
Yeah.
We're gonna see how good they actually are, though, in the next couple of weeks.
Next week, actually.
Yeah.
The next 2, I think. They have Oregon and then USC. So
back to back.
I'm not on this hype train that everyone else is on Colorado. They've won against 3 mediocre teams. They don't play defense. They're lucky that they get to play Arizona State and Stanford in Arizona, so they probably will make a bowl game. But I don't think this team's that great. They do have some playmakers, some studs, but I don't think they have anybody behind those studs. And like I said, the defense is kind of booty. But they can talk.
It's a struggle. Well, and they get too many flags. I mean, they stopped them field goal, and then you get an unnecessary roughness penalty that gives them a first down.
Yeah.
You return the intercept. You had an interception and returned it for a touchdown. But still, they were 18-point favorites, right? The other thing I have a problem. The other problem I have with them is that they rush the field after every game. I mean, I get it, how you've been bad for so long and you would. No, I understand, but I'm just saying, like, you beat your rival, okay, in double overtime, you want to rush the field, okay, that's fine. But, it feels like every game they win, they're going to rush the field.
I mean, I kind of would,
too. Like, 2 of you guys rushed the field in double overtime, didn't you?
Huh?
Didn't you guys rush the field in double overtime with the win over the rival?
That's just that was a double overtime 2016 game, but that's a tradition in Columbus. If you beat Michigan at home, you just rush the field. It's been something
Oh, I'm
they've
not.
done all the time.
I'm not saying anything about rushing the field.
Or your
but
last home game, I
you
think.
beat TCU. I mean, like Drew said, you've beaten 3 mediocre teams. It's
Yeah.
not like Colorado State was favored by 3 touchdowns and you beat them in double overtime. You were favored to smoke that team
Yeah.
and played terrible in the first half
Absolutely.
and was down 16 in the fourth
Right.
quarter.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it was, I get it, big win, you want to rush the field and everything like that, but, like, Dion is bringing the smoke. He's literally putting a target on his team's back, and if they don't play defense, Oregon will score. USC will score, and eventually they have the same amount of talent, if not better talent, and will get a stop at some point. So Colorado's defense is really the key to if they're going to really move forward. They do get an easier schedule after they play a couple rough teams. So, like you said, I think they'll make a bowl game. I mean, the win total was 3.5 to start the year. So, I mean,
Ethan?
it seems like they're going to hammer that.
Ethan, I know you said you want to go last because you have a bunch of thoughts.
Yeah. So I'll start off by saying on the drive home from dropping Drew off last night, me and Dave watched the end of the game. We had it streaming. Somehow it stayed up through the middle of nowhere, Ohio, all the way back. I kid you not, we did not lose signal somehow. But first off, the penalties thing and all that, I guess I have a bunch of stuff I'm not going to try to glob together. Prime set his team up to come out and play hard, derogatory thug ball. And if Colorado State got themselves up and played that same way, Colorado State said, if you want to talk it, we're going to play it. 27 flags for a combined 269 yards. Colorado State was 17 for 182. Colorado State was far and away outplaying them, and the Travis Hunter injury did play a big part of that. But Michael Harrison saved Shedeur Sanders. He became a new heads-up target, the tight end, number 87. He used him so many times in the end of the game and in the overtime. He caught both the touchdowns in the overtime and helped seal that for Colorado. But yeah, it was 28-17 at the 11:22 mark in the fourth quarter. And you could tell people were starting to give up. You could tell that the game was basically shot. But like you guys said, I don't think outside of your first 22, there's anything behind the scenes for Colorado that's going to save them.
Right.
I think you're looking a lot like that 2017 Texas A&M team, the one with Johnny Manziel that beat Alabama in the regular season.
Yeah, there was just nothing behind it. Yeah.
Mike Evans bailed out Johnny Manziel every chance he could, made him look like a star.
Right.
At Oregon this week at 3:30, actually, at Oregon this week at 3:30 versus USC at home. Week after that, and then you get a chance to redeem yourself. I think the hype is there. I'm not saying I'm on the train. I think it's entertaining. I like what Shedeur's doing, but it's going to come crashing down, and I guess it's all how that entire community is going to respond to that, because you guys could lose 50 points a week the next 2 weeks out in Boulder, and how are you going to rally behind that?
Yeah. Because that was something I was going to bring up. What I'm really interested to see is coach, like in his coaching career so far, Dion hasn't faced a lot of adversity. When he was at Jackson State, they dominated every team they went up against. And of course, if you have a Travis Hunter and a really good quarterback, you're probably going to dominate that league, right?
I don't think they won a bowl game though. At least that's
No,
what I
he
heard.
left.
We were
I
talking
think
about that.
did he leave before the bowl game, or maybe he coached in the bowl game and they lost? But he hasn't, like, they lost one game when he was at Jackson State, and I think that was a bowl game. But he hasn't. I don't think like he hasn't faced the adversity as going to Eugene, Oregon, like he is next week, getting the doors blown off of you. And how is your team going to react knowing that you have the top 5 team next week, too? And if you don't play well then,
Yeah.
how are you going to react when you come back the following week, you know?
Yeah, if you go out to Oregon and get the doors blown off you by 50, and you're playing a quote unquote harder team the following week,
How are you
you
reacting?
got to wake up. Yeah, you got to wake up or you got to go home. There's no safety there.
I don't know that they're going to get the doors blown off them. I think they have too much talent they'll be able to hang with Oregon. I don't know that they'll beat Oregon because Oregon this year has played solid defense. So it'll be interesting to see. But I mean, for me, I think he's taking advantage of all the hype and stuff that he's got because he has the talent. Not saying that he won't get the talent coming in the future,
Right.
but like this hype and everything like that, you have a really good quarterback. We all knew that he was a decent quarterback and would be solid in normal college football and not HBCU ball. But, Travis Hunter is a freak athlete who would play on any team in America.
Mm-hmm.
You've got
he was the number one corner.
And their running back, he would play on a lot of teams too. So they've got a lot of players. But the thing is the key is Shedeur Sanders. He makes the whole offense go. He's the reason why they're 3-0. He's going to be the reason why they continue to be good.
Right.
So what I'm interested to see is, are you going to keep that same hype 2 years from now when you don't have Travis Hunter and you don't have Shedeur Sanders? Now you may have the next quarterback, being just as solid, but it feels like to me that he's just hyping it up because he knows he's got the talent this year and he's not sure what's going to happen next year. So he's just hyping it up because.
Drew?
Yeah, I mean.
Your final thoughts here?
I agree with what Corey's saying. I think part of the hype this year is that Deion knows Shedeur's going to be gone, Hunter's going to leave. He needs to start recruiting immediately. And that's what he's doing is he's just recruiting by doing all these hype videos, cutting all these promos and stuff.
And getting a bunch of stars and everyone to come out and see what it's going to be like for those players. I mean, they had 10 plus visitors there this past weekend. I'm sure it was awesome for them and they had a good time. But I mean, it's, to me, it's one of those things where it's like he's showcasing what his son can do and like putting the ball in his hands, which is smart because he's a really good player. But when you think about it next year, if they have a freshman starting or a sophomore starting who can't make all of those throws, you're not going to see them throw the ball as much. It's going to be lean. They're going to have to make adjustments and lean. So, I mean, I'm just interested to see more so down the road. They've got a lot of talent everywhere. They can beat anybody. They can compete with anybody in the country. It's just about their defense. They can score on anybody.
And then I guess also, what if someone else entices him along the way? All these memes and all these, I don't say memes or jokes or whatever, theories. What if he goes to Texas A&M? What if Jimbo gets the axe and goes to the recruiting powerhouse, the money powerhouse? Texas A&M's pulls down top 3, top 10 classes every year. What happens if he goes to somewhere like that, even though he's in a significantly harder competitive situation? The dude's going to be polarizing no matter what. So
and he's a great coach regardless. Like, not taking anything away from him, and I'm not saying that he can't get the next guy, but I think he knows that these kids but he knew these kids grew up on Lil Wayne. So, I know Lil Wayne. I'm going to bring Lil Wayne here so these recruits know that this is how it's going to be when I'm here. And I'm not saying this, Nick, you and I have had this conversation a couple of times this year already. I don't know that he's going to stay at Colorado. I think he's going to be so polarizing that a big name will reel him in. You know,
Who
I
that
mean,
big
like
name is a question to be answered though.
right. I mean, and it's one of those things. Like we both talked about, maybe Michigan or Ohio State if they're looking for a new coach. I don't know that would happen, but I mean, you can imagine if what he's doing at Colorado and getting recruits and getting even, I would say, even like a top 15 class for Colorado is something that hasn't been done probably in their history. Right? It feels like they haven't had a top 20 class ever. So you can imagine if you get the recruiting and at a bigger school and have the ability to do other things, it's the sky is the limit. It's just a matter of if he needs someone who can coach defense.
Absolutely.
I just don't see him being someone that comes north. I think he would lock in at a Texas A&M, a Florida State, a Florida.
I think he might go to Florida State. I could definitely see him go to Florida State.
So, all right.
I'm not saying he's going to come to the Big Ten, but I'm just saying
but I'm saying I don't see him being a North guy. I think he's going to hit up a Florida school, a Texas school, where he can absolutely wash the recruiting on top of what he's capable of. The high school football scene down there is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Also, something to maybe keep an eye out is if Nick Saban retires.
True.
Yeah, they won't go for Dabo. I think the game already passed Dabo by 5 years ago. It said Dabo's a successor.
Drew, final thought going into week 4. What do you need to see from some of these Big Ten teams to think that they're a national contender for the title this year?
Well, Penn State needs to handle business. Iowa's not going to score any points, so you might as well just beat the shit out of them. Ohio State, I think Ohio State has the most to prove this week. I think Notre Dame is a very solid team, very balanced on both sides of the ball. They feel like the more complete team right now. I would probably pick the Irish to beat Ohio State right now. So if Ohio State can pull this off, then that'll go a long way for me. And for Michigan, like, beat the shit out of Rutgers, like, turn it up. I feel like we still haven't even like seen Michigan yet.
Absolutely. All right, fellas, that's all I had for us this evening. Don't want to take too much of your time here on Sunday night. Just enjoy the rest of your evenings, and everybody, we'll see you guys here later.
You too.